Hello, and welcome back to the classroom. It's been a minute. We're excited to have you. It's another episode of Remedial Rewatch Community 101. I am your host, Kris Ingersoll, and joining me as always is the teacher himself, my co-host, Mr. Randy Elaine.
Pop. Great to be here, Kris.
Buddy. Good to have you, pal.
Thank you.
And it wouldn't be a classroom session without our third, the troublemaker, the one in the back's doing spitballs, I bet. The truest community college student, Mr. Tyler McCarthy. Hello, sir.
Hello. Yes, not a spitball guy. I'm a failed paper airplaneman. That's my claim to fame.
I bet you never gave up, though.
No. If you give me a piece of paper right now, the first thing I will try to do is make a paper airplane, just like, off vibes. No real aerodynamic knowledge or anything.
That's what it's about. They can only fly on vibes. I think that's the truth of this world.
See, I'd like to say that I'm fighting for a bigger cause than that, but really, I'm just pro-anti.
Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, if that
for those of you just listening, Randy expertly rolled a pack of cigarettes into his sleeve just now.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
The badassery is just vibing off of you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to talk about the second half of season 3 of the fantastic show Community. This is season 3, part 2, episodes 11 through 22. As you know, I'm a first-time watcher watching along with you. Tyler is our throwback expert and original watcher from the first run of the show. And Randy is binge watching it for the second time after discovering it during the pandemic. Randy, can you hit us with your signature synopsis, a cheat sheet for part 2 of season 3?
Absolutely. I cannot wait to do it. The back half of season 3 poses one very serious question. How many years does it take to complete community college? Well, the show never actually answers that question. It does take the time to show us that our beloved study group members are starting to turn their eyes toward the future. Their emotional development, their post-college careers, the question of whether or not to step up as the messiah to a cult of repairmen, the basics. The season ends on a charming reprise of the theme song as we embrace a hopeful ending amidst the uncertainty of the show's future. Hashtag 6 seasons and a movie.
Hell yeah. Another banger as always.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely brilliant. I almost enjoy listening to that as much as I enjoy watching the episodes themselves. And I mean
shucks. Thank you.
And it doesn't...
Really.
I watched these episodes, but I have the memory of a goldfish, but I watched these episodes like in the last 2 days, and those synopsises really do help. You capture both the events and the vibe. You're absolutely right. This show is looking toward the future. There was very much a mood behind the scenes of like, is this it? Like, this might be the finale. Like they just plain didn't know. And for the creator, in many ways, it kind of was a finale, and we'll get into that. But first, I want to ask everyone's experience with watching this for the first time. And Kris, because you're going to be the most interesting, you just watched these episodes for the first time in the last, day and a half?
Mostly today, but a lot yesterday as well.
Hit us with your thoughts. You're fresh out of year 3 of Greendale.
Yeah, and I crammed for the final just like our study group, right? It's the only way to do it. No, Randy, I agree with Tyler.
Sorry.
What? What is it? Your synopsis, Randy, I agree with Tyler, helps to frame it really well. And you captured quite a bit of my experience as a first-time watcher because the maturation of our group was so palpable throughout the season. I was like, oh, we're still being zany. I mean, the show is still the show. But we're taking our characters and their arcs and their relationships quite seriously. We're allowing there to be consequences of their experiences. We're allowing for growth. And honestly, guys, it made me uncomfortable throughout a lot of this batch of episodes. I had to really reckon with whether or not I was ready for any kind of genuine conflict in the Abed-Troy relationship.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, I watched this alone, right? It's on a show that I share with my wife. For the first time, I really wished I had somebody to sort of like experience it with live. Not because of like in the past, I've expressed that because I wish I could be laughing with you guys and like high-fiving as they make a reference that we've shared. This time I just like needed to know it was going to be okay. Somebody to remind me that like there's more, just hang in there. Because it did get like for Troy quite serious. Like we really had to watch this boy kind of become a man this season in a way that was always a little bit more tongue in cheek, I think, in past seasons, right? And this real change happened in this batch of episodes. So that's quite most of what I left these feeling was like, oh wow, that was like there was still plenty of fun and zaniness, and we'll get into all that. We had like a nice little side scrolling adventure in 8-bit. Like we'll get into it. But really, I think my biggest impression watching this was, oh, the show managed to take itself even more seriously than before. We've talked about like moments of heart, genuine storytelling moments, like true human emotion stuff, worthwhile commentary on the human condition. But this was the first time I felt like, oh, no, they're developing their characters in a serialized, progressive way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Well said too. Yeah, it's such a departure. I always say it's so fun to think about, like cast your mind back to the pilot when it's very much like handsome guys hitting on the cute girl from Spanish class. Will they, won't they? And then just hard cut to Chang dressed as Napoleon flanked by child soldiers. And it's the same show, you're telling me? It's crazy. But Randy, let's get with you. What was your first impression of the story way back in the pandemic and, now upon rewatch?
Yeah, so I mean, I think this segment has taken on a certain character for me, because really what I'm talking about most of the time is like what brought me back to my college and post-college days the most, right? Like all of the physical media references and things are always popping for me this time around. It was Annie Edison. I miss having a coffee shop. Where am I going to go to get my lattes and Sarah McLachlan CDs? I recently spoke on a little podcast that Kris and I share called Podele about listening to some of my old like prepackaged coffee shop type CDs of classical music. So like just Annie brought me back to a place in time that we've moved on from, and I miss it sometimes. But I also love to talk about the product placement from this era. And I always say the subway bit is the most brilliant version of this that I have ever seen. A man selling the rights of his identity to Subway. Eat fresh. Um,
And that's like a real thing too. Like Subway, like I think John Oliver did a really great segment on this. Subway goes above and beyond to like do this kind of like hardcore product placement. There are entire like soap operas in South Korea that are just about Subway workers set in a Subway.
I did not know that one.
It's so crazy. Everyone should watch the John Oliver thing on it because and it's like it gets to be a little nefarious as most of the things John Oliver covers are, but
really?
like Subway is not and John Oliver has to cop to the fact of like I was in Community, like, and I was part of this.
Well, like
this reframes how I feel about Happy Gilmore all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Well, no, like honestly, Tyler, I'm fairly certain I brought this up in this segment on Remedial Rewatch before, but once upon a time, I was a big fan of the show Chuck, starring a gentleman I'm not so much a fan of anymore. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah.
Sorry, Kris, just for those listening, Kris just did an expert actor level like dry heave.
Yeah,
that was
you
that
perfectly captured what I was feeling inside when I brought this up, Kris. But at one point I was driving down the street to buy Subway sandwiches as part of a campaign to save that show. So yeah,
oh wow,
it really brought me back to that time period where it was like the community was to a certain extent driving like how the corporations were using social media, and now it's kind of flipped. They're doing everything they can to try to recreate that kind of magic that sprung up more organically once upon a time.
There was a Subway on the Westfield State campus when I attended, and it was a hit, I will be honest. I myself, I have to admit, when I was in high school, I worked at a Subway.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
A real sandwich artist.
Oh, yeah.
What was your go-to order?
Respect the craft. Oh, it was the chicken breast. They don't even make it. It's not even available anymore. You can no longer
Really?
go and get a whole chicken breast in your sandwich at Subway. It's only this weird chopped up, pre-grilled thing. So don't get me started.
We used to be a country, man.
Used to be a country.
For more on
We had a
Subway,
nice fresh fare.
For more on Subway, please go back and check out our episode on Saving Silverman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you guys did Saving Silverman. I love that movie. As much as a rational person can love that movie.
Yeah. I forgot that my attendance to Subway University was already well documented.
Well, that's excellent.
It all came flooding back. I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this batch of episodes, it was pretty nostalgic. By this point in the series, gone are the times where it was like this fresh new show and like all the punk rock kids had kind of coalesced and like we comedy nerds are. This is around the time that like being a comedy nerd is becoming incredibly mainstream and liking Community, like the Community fans had kind of found their community. What I remember most about this back half of episodes was thinking that like maybe we've gone off the rails a little too much. Maybe it's gotten too cartoony. But upon this rewatch specifically, I think I walk back that statement. I think the first 2 seasons got a lot of mileage out of these people growing and learning to accept other people, particularly the other people in their study group, realizing that everyone who's here is kind of at a rock bottom and accepting like people for that. And look, they could keep telling those stories and probably keep doing it very well. But I like the energy of season 3 being, we're past that. You know what I mean? If we are going to look toward the future, graduating, life beyond Greendale, how do we do that? These people at a certain point just have to straight up be friends or a family and all of that. And I think a byproduct of that a lot of good shows do. I think 30 Rock has done this. Scrubs definitely did this. You make your place a little bit like Springfield is to The Simpsons, where it's everyone. You have your core cast, sure, but you could do a full episode on the Dean or, like one of the other side characters, probably except Magnitude because the script would be a little lacking. But otherwise, a byproduct of growing with these characters is you bring in a lot of cartoony elements. You bring in a lot of cartoony side characters who at one point were just there for one-off jokes. And now you've got like Chang just going absolutely insane. And I dig it. It's an evolution.
Really well identified. I completely agree. Excellent. The ensemble is as strong as ever in this back half.
Absolutely. And just wall to wall, some insanely good, like blink and you'll miss them jokes. Like at one point, Jeff says, "I'm an exceptional narcissist, Britta." Like that is so funny.
Yeah. Says it, but he says it with the most chill because he's still on his pills.
Yep.
Yeah. Really good. Well, it feels like we're ready to get into this thing then, and maybe it's going to be hard to narrow it down given our enthusiasm for the whole batch. But it's time to get streets ahead, and each of us needs to talk about the episode in this batch that we enjoyed the most upon this watch. Tyler, throw it right back to you. Are you ready to pick a favorite episode?
I am. I would neglected to find the title of it before hitting this. It's the Law and Order parody.
Yes.
Is it Basic Lupine Neurology?
Basic Lupine Neurology. Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Lupin?
I think it's
Lupine.
Okay.
Wouldn't that Professor Lupin has no E at the end of his last name? wouldn't it be Lupine if you're gonna? I mean, the E's got to make the I do something.
Send Randy your emails if you know how it's pronounced. Send Randy your emails. And if I'm going to forge ahead with Lupine, and if that's wrong,
I would have defaulted to Lupine. But when I was doing follow-up research, I got Lupin, but I also got some debate on it. So yeah. any horticulturalists out there who would like to fix this problem, I'd really appreciate hearing from you.
Yeah,
Inbox is open.
That episode, first of all, I love the energy of doing a parody of of how formulaic one of NBC's biggest shows is from one of its maybe like black sheep shows. I think that's very funny. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with the show Robot Chicken, but I hope so because it's terrific. They have one sketch where they just they do a full episode of Law and Order, but it's just chickens clucking, but you still know exactly what's happening. Because, yeah, like it's a procedural. It's so formulaic. And the way that they just sort of turn it on its head, it's so funny. There's so many great little details. I love the meta quality of Abed saying, like, we both can't do the zinger because they've been trying to both. Like,
yes. I was going to say that, yeah.
I think it sets up a great, like, mystery. I love little touches in this episode, like when Starburns has been stealing backpacks, so that makes him a suspect.
Yeah.
And then when they go to his locker, like Starburns approaches and he's carrying like 3 or 4 backpacks. Like that's so funny. And then they actually do, but by the time it gets to the like courtroom segment of it, and we fully switch to Jeff and Annie, there is this kind of climactic quality that makes it better than your average Law and Order episode, where they're more talking about the morality than like actually getting justice. And I thought this was it was so well done. It's not hard to parody Law and Order, but it's hard to do it and still make it fun.
Yeah.
And I think this really nailed it.
Right down to like that post case like drink in the office when the Starburns phone call comes in. It's also flawless.
Oh, yeah. And I love special thanks to Dick Wolf in the font of like executive producer Dick Wolf. That's so funny. But my favorite moment from that episode was absolutely when the biology teacher, I'm forgetting his name, but that actor, rest in peace, is so terrific in this. Just like
Professor Kane. Professor Kane. Yeah.
Like he's like, it's almost as if someone told him like, be on the wire.
Yep.
But it's community.
That's exactly what he's doing.
He gets right in the general's face talking about how, like, I was in prison, you were in the army, 2 worlds where a man's word is his bond. And the whole thing is underscored with the dean just clutching his pearls, like so turned on.
Yeah, I mean, it's Michael Kenneth Williams cooking. Of course he's clutching those pearls.
Yeah. We'll get into more of the dean being turned on in this batch episode as we go on, I'm sure. Tyler, I love the way that you zeroed in on it's a parody. It is. And it manages to still be super fun without being like overly shticky and cringy. And it also, to your point, it still has something really authentic to say. Like something worthwhile to say in the end about justice and morality. Really interesting.
Yeah, Kris, I want to know how you felt about your guy Todd just taking more hits.
Okay.
But ultimately redeems.
Yeah, ultimately redeemed. Todd steps up and actually advocates for himself there. And I think that's wonderful. But I was a little too distracted. In my notes, it just says, holy shit, it's Michael Ironside. Because I was raised on Top Gun. So the moment that man walked in uniform, I knew exactly who it was. I don't care how many years are on him. That's Michael Ironside.
Hell yeah.
I continue to be impressed with the random folks who pop up in this show.
Similarly, like not playing to the show that he's on at all, playing to he is straight across the plate, a gruff military general, and it makes 1,000%. It so much better.
Oh yeah.
To his very last line, which finally gets a little silly. He's like, "I'm telling your mother." It's still delivered with like he's kicking Maverick out of Top Gun, you know. And really great stuff.
I actually, for a sitcom at least parodying a show, I kind of like the final reveal. It's pretty effective. And it has this incredible line from Jeff Winger. Boiling water is the icicle stabbing of yam killing is one of my favorite lines in this batch of episodes. And it makes sense. If you can follow him, it makes perfect sense.
And like underscoring it too, they figure it out by dropping the yams on the floor. But Neil is the only person who could have done it because he's the only one who can sign people in and out. And he would be the only one who would get in without there being a record of it. It just works. They wrote an actual like mystery. It was so good.
And poor Todd like thinks it is his fault. Like,
poor Todd.
He's really been through it, man. Whew.
But to your point, every bit of it is like well written, well thought out, tremendous.
That's not to get too ahead of ourselves, but that's something that we're going to find is very lacking in the next season. Those little details, those little touches, sort of fall by the wayside for a bit.
I'm sure that's what happens when, again, you're writing a few episodes at a time, never sure when you're going to get canceled.
Yeah. But Randy, I'm interested to hear yours.
Yeah. Okay. So I had such a hard time deciding. I actually don't know if I'm pretty sure this is absolutely not the best episode of the batch, but it's my favorite because
That's what we're here for.
There are not many people in the world who are bigger fans of John Hodgman than myself. The Judge John Hodgman podcast is my favorite podcast to listen to. And the first time I watched through and saw him on here, it was exciting. And it was even more exciting this time around after spending some more years listening to that podcast. This episode probably doesn't deserve it because it's a clip show episode. They've kind of parodied clip show episodes before, and we are getting new original content. But it's not in every moment woven together perfectly. But there are a few things going on here. Like I said, yes, the John Hodgman of it all, the silliness of how far this conspiracy goes, to the fact that, like, Chang has managed to hire someone to pretend to be a psychiatrist to try to convince this crew that they're crazy. The swiftness.
It's such a deep yet unsophisticated caper. It runs deep, but it's so dumb.
Yeah, is he funding it all through the budget of the school at this point? Like, how's he pulling this off?
Well, I don't think anyone ever got paid.
Perhaps not.
At least not the Dienelganger or the Doppeldean or whatever you may call him.
Doppeldiener.
Doppeldeaner is good.
Yeah, not Moby.
Yeah. But no, listen, like, that being said, Kris and I, we love these dreamscape episodes, right? Like, we recently did a Batman by the Numbers. We compared Perchance to Dream, and we also compared an episode of My Adventures of Superman, where Superman's trapped in a dream. And these folks have been through so much, and they've been so unsettled in their lives that even the absurdity of this lie catches them for a moment. And amongst all of the clips, just that little section of imagining them in an asylum instead of the community college is so masterful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the highlight is, like, they just start out strong with, "Can you believe this secret trampoline we found?" And they're just, like, bouncing on bed springs. I believe at one point Annie and Abed are making out, because that's my favorite ship on the show. Outside of this dream sequence, just the mention of Abed's Don Draper impersonation gets Annie to kind of push some hair aside and look off shyly off to the side. At one point, Garrett pops in with a a Dubs
voice,
superhero
I love
voice.
that.
It's just masterful. And of course, the stinger, one of my previous favorite episodes in this category. I want to see what happens if we confiscate one of their pens.
Right? Really
That's
fantastic.
so good.
But I mean, it makes sense that they would take pause. Like, who are we becoming? What have we been through? We may as well have been in an asylum if we were at Greendale. And this episode was really having fun. So I'm going to give it to that one for some personal reasons. There's endless gags, even just like the non-asylum flashbacks. I recently spoiled the daylight savings time clip for Kris back at daylight savings time that we get here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just win after win after win.
I was wondering, because I felt like that clip, the screaming at daylight savings time, I felt like we already got that, but maybe I was just remembering when we talked about it earlier.
Shout out to Shirley being at the end of her parenting rope, and when her boys eat the cookies, she just brings something they love to give out to all of her friends instead. I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket just in case.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out that they really took Brett Ratner to task too, which I love, because absolutely fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just Abed getting angry, you're a bad person.
Yeah. So glad that you picked this one, Randy. It was definitely on my list. So I'm glad that you were the one who went there. I knew you were going to be psyched about the Dr. John Hodgman stepping in. I had to I don't see images of him very often. I honestly the most potent image of him in my mind is from the Mac ads back in the day when he was PC.
Yeah.
So I had to Google him real quick to see about the mustache.
Yeah.
It's so striking on his face. I was like, that's real? Is that real, or that's part of the character? It's really his mustache. Great mustache he's got.
Wow. I'll also say, you might know this. He might have talked about this on his podcast. I haven't listened to his podcast, but he did an episode of the Blank Check podcast when they were doing Sam Raimi's movies. And I didn't know this, but apparently he worked very closely as kind of like an assistant or something like that with Bruce Campbell, and just has some amazing things to say about like seeing like Bruce Campbell's fame based on the Evil Dead like movies and all of that, and helping him with his book and all of that. So if you are a John Hodgman or a Evil Dead or a Bruce Campbell fan, that's definitely worth a listen.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Love
thanks
that.
for giving me a chance to celebrate that beloved episode.
Yeah, and shout out to character actor Craig Kakowski as the cop in this. Very recognizable face.
Yeah. If this were Comic-Con, I'd take a bullet for that kid.
Yeah, so
He has a
good.
great run in this whole stretch. He's got several wins.
He does. I like that he may be our go-to officer of the law.
Yeah.
Britta just, I hate cops. There's no follow-up. There's no... Unbelievable.
Such a good episode. And the reveal, too, where they all just like step out of his office, take a moment, and they're like, wait, I'm wearing a Greendale backpack.
Yeah.
I have literally hundreds of photos from the campus.
Yeah.
There's
It
absolutely no
almost
way.
He's crawling out the window. He immediately goes into a whole new explanation. Now it's purgatory. He's the devil. He was riffing pretty well, to his credit.
That felt like
And-
another Lost shout out.
It did
Yeah.
feel like a lost shout out. I agree.
I just love Troy like starting to consider it, and Jeff just slaps him.
Stop letting him. Yeah. So, really good. Okay.
Great episode.
You both picked excellent ones. Both were on my list, and I thought that would help me narrow down my final pick, and it hasn't. I know we're ultimately going to pick up all the pieces, so I don't have to worry too much about not going where I want to go. I guess I'm going to walk it back a little bit earlier in the season. I'm going to go to Pillows and Blankets.
Thank God. I was
Yeah.
worried we weren't going to talk
Okay.
about this.
I almost reached
Great
out to you guys
choice.
ahead of time to say, is this the one that we talk about? Like, this is just like the one, and then we'll
Sure.
each pick a separate thing. Because, wow, another documentary style look back at an event at Greendale. I do find that's my favorite way to explore these big epic moments with the crew. I understand why Modern Warfare is so highly rated and highly regarded in the distant memory of the show, but I can only imagine if I was watching this in real time that this one would have, for me, like quickly taken the top spot in my favorites. And I think because the core conflict is so personal in this. Like,
yeah.
I highlighted earlier how much the rift in their relationship was really tearing at me upon this watch, and was like, is this something I want to be wrestling with, or don't I want them just to be like the best buddies who I can always rely on for a laugh? But when they were the drama, when they were the emotional focal point, it really gave the whole thing a set of stakes that I think it otherwise wouldn't have had, despite the silliness of it being a massive epic pillow fight on campus. They once again managed to do insane action, like Shirley wielding pillows akimbo, just ferocious. She comes in and there's like she serves a 2-piece to a guy that hits the floor like fast in slow motion.
Yes.
Because she's such a beast. I was just once again really impressed with the show's ability to do epic scale in such a small space.
Do you think you can build it?
So, like, when we get to the end and the dean comes in, he announces it's all over. The Guinness World Record guy has been fired. That's not going to be in next year's book. And now there's no reason for the war, and everything disperses. Troy and Abed are still sitting there just hacking at each other with pillows, listlessly, because they don't want it to end, because it's the last thing they're ever going to do together.
Yeah.
Holy shit, was that moving? It's so silly, and it's so moving.
Yeah.
And then icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Jeff gets them the friendship hats, and we get Annie's voiceover, right? She's giving her testimonial, and she's talking about how sweet it was of Jeff to wait long enough outside to convince them that he had gone back to get the hats. And then we get to find out that no, he really did go back all the way to the office. And Troy's hat was crumpled in the corner, and Abed's was just a little bit dusty. And it meant something to him because he knew it meant something to them. And it was just like, why is this so damn beautiful? Why is this so potent and so meaningful? And then this does end with a quick shout out to the Cape once again.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy that that's a running joke.
No, Kris, I love that. Because if I had to pick just one moment from the back half of this season, it would be the friendship hats. For all the reasons you mentioned, but just like even the subtext of, that he clocked exactly what they did in that moment, because he has a pretty accurate search for those hats. And we already know that he loves his found family. But it would break him to see Troy and Abed not be Troy and Abed anymore. And we already got a little preview of what it looks like if they manage to get all of the weirdness out at once. And nobody wants that look for Troy and Abed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, such a huge moment for Jeff. Like that's in the Jeff Winger emotional growth highlight reel for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that the resolution, it could have been because we have the vice dean from the HVAC school has manipulated them into this, right? He's played on both of their insecurities, and he has stoked this fire that has turned into this inferno. And they could have undone it all by revealing that and letting Troy and Abed feel like, oh, this never would have happened if not for this outside. No, this happened because they are really growing. And they're both really needing to mature and examine things. And so I love that choice that like it could have been resolved that way, but instead it resolves because these two in the end decide that they just choose to be friends. That's what those friendship hats are. Nothing but the choice to be friends. Even as they continue to grow, even if there's some distance, even if there's some change, even if that relationship looks different, one of them wants to build a pillow fort while the other one wants to build a blanket fort. They love each other. And I'm so grateful for the way this episode was written.
Well, Kris, it's like the prophecy says, the true repairman will repair man.
That's such a good line. Shout out to John Goodman for everything he does in season 3. He's incredible. I keep meaning I forgot to look up because I wanted to, like, the whole thing where he's got the ponytail and he says he's going through stuff right now. Was he filming something else at that time? I should have looked that up. Or is it just a hilarious joke for its own sake?
I don't know, because like it's not once Troy chooses to come to the school, that's the first time we see him now restored to his traditional mustache and haircut. He's like, seems to be okay. I don't know if he was on his journey about this repair man, the true repairman thing, the prophecy, and
realizing it's not him,
and struggling to pass the torch or what. But I like kind of need the quick spin-off like short film. Like give me a digital short, like a 10-minute little exploration of what was going on with that guy.
Yeah. So good. It's such a good pick. This episode, first of all, just the commitment to having a narrator tell it all through like stills and kind of found footage, and they really keep it to like a Ken Burns documentary style, and they still tell a complete story. It's still got so many good jokes. It's so well done. And you're right, at the heart of it, it is an exploration of Troy and Abed's relationship, which has gotten very cartoony and also a little unhealthy in this season, in that like Troy keeps indulging Abed's like worst impulses. Abed is kind of holding Troy back from growing up, and they explore both of those things, but they also real life them a bit. There was the other episode where Abed can't stop hiring character actors to just help him relive movie things. And Troy gets mad and he has to, and he tells Abed what we all do of like, no, I'm not mad. And then Abed's like totally fine with it and he walks away. And then Troy has to remember like, Abed's not going to pick up on the fact that I am actually mad. So he calls him back and they just have this moment of honesty where he's like, you don't like when people tell you what to do, and I don't want to be one of those people, but I have to be. It was just the way they really explore their relationship in that and in this episode. It's so good. And I think a lesser show would just let Troy and Abed be a joke factory, be a meme factory or whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing I like about Dan Harmon and the writers behind this show is that if there's an exposed nerve, they're just going to flick it. And I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And you're right. It's not devoid of jokes, despite that like serious undertone. It's still packed with them. Listening to Keith David as the narrator mock Britta's photography throughout was such a joy, such a fun little running bit. And then when she captures like the iconic moment in the end, but accidentally because she was trying to get the sun reflecting off of a stack of waffles. So good.
So very Britta.
Oh, so very
She
Britta.
Britted it.
Great picks, guys. This was all, I mean, I think we hit all of the major ones. This was wall to wall some good stuff, but we definitely, I think, hit the big ones.
Oh yeah. We've I think knocked on the door of what some of the biggest themes are, some of the biggest bits. But guys, I need help reacting to something. So let's run through and give each character their due. I think we've already given a quick shout out to some of our biggest guest stars and some of the other supporting characters. That being said, who else do you want to shout out just from the supporting casts and our guest stars that we haven't talked about yet?
I'll go first. Giancarlo Esposito does so great. Again, he's so talented in that he kind of only plays one character, but he plays that character so well and is able to adapt to the world he's in. So he could go from Breaking Bad to this, playing the same kind of stoic, calculated, quiet man, and it works everywhere. I love him.
Yeah, as soon as you see him, you know he's nefarious. Like you meet him, and you're like, well, he's not going to be up to any good, right? Whether it's on Once Upon a Time or in the Star Wars universe, he's just a bad guy. But I like that they subverted that expectation in this, and he does not end as a villain to be defeated. We get to preserve Pierce Sr. as the truest of the villains. But
Yes.
great call out because he was so wonderful in this when he was in villain mode. He's so good at being shitty.
Absolutely. And that whole episode was just another theme episode, another one where we're just tackling an entire story through the lens of a side scroller video game. And Abed throughout that whole episode, the way he chooses to play the game is so Abed, so cute, so funny.
He's truly in love. I mean, he comes back for her in the end. She leaves with him on a little smart stick.
Yeah, Hilda.
And it's
Abed
very
forever.
like, if anyone's, oh, sorry, Randy, go ahead.
No, that was it. Just Hilda and Abed forever. Carry on.
And if anyone is a gamer out there, you know, particularly if you played like Minecraft or any of these kind of games where there's a crafting system, like, you know that there are some people who like role play and like, oh, you can have a kid and this will be my baby. And then there's other people who are like, oh, you can constantly be replicating a workforce. You can have infinite like people to do menial tasks. I can build an engine with that of some sort, like a mining operation. It's just the dichotomy of two gamers. And it makes so much sense that Abed like met a wife, fell in love, and then used the mechanic of having children to like mine ore or whatever he was doing.
Right.
So good.
Yeah, great call. I'm glad that brought us to that episode.
And I just also love any moment that like Annie Edison like just is always half a second away from going fully postal, just like murdering the blacksmith. We've seen her exhibit this behavior before. I don't know if I want to see her in the wrong situation in real life.
Oh, okay, but then Shirley proving that she is the actually dangerous one.
Fair.
Yeah.
Annie might be unhinged. Shirley's dangerous. These are your strings. I'm just tying them up.
Your loose ends, I'm just tying them. I
these
wrote
are
that
yours,
down because I'm like, I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
That's really good.
it's one of her best deliveries like ever, and she has a lot of strong ones too. So
I kind of wish they'd play more with the dynamic between those two. They did it in like the first season where they're both vying for like who's the bad cop, but they both have that sort of like angel devil in them that really like is fun to play with.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, Shirley, definitely we see it come out in the pillow fort fight. I want to go to, I was joking, tried to sneak it in a little bit before, but JP Manu, he plays the phobie, the doppelganger.
Okay, yeah.
But he's also he's not Moby from an episode of How I Met Your Mother back in 2005. He's very specifically not Moby for that episode. It's like a New Year's Eve episode. They think they've met Moby. They bring him into their stretch limo. He winds up carrying a massive gun, like it's like an absurdly large handgun for some reason. So when I saw him in this, I'm like, oh, it's the almost Moby guy, and he's pretending to be a DJ. How funny! And then he is actually, in fact, a Moby impersonator for the episode. So it was a nice little meta moment for me. And he was perfect. He is really brilliant in all of his bits. Each time he comes up as the not Dean, right down to the very last. What does he ask? Can I go home? Can I leave a little bit early? My wife is getting, what is it? Her retainer or
or her braces off or something like that. Something like weirdly
Yeah.
specific and menial, but
Yeah, she's getting her braces off. Yeah, I think
she's getting her braces off.
And at one point they do dub his voice with that of the Dean's Jim Rash, but I don't think they needed to because there's other times where he's just doing the impression and nailing it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, just like weirdly deep in the frame for the commercial.
Yeah. Admittedly, like when I first started watching the show and I saw Jim Rash, I know him most from this. So I had to quickly, wait, is Jim Rash, is he who I know from How I Met Your Mother?
Mm-hmm.
And if you Google JP Manu, you'll see that most people also searched for Jim Rash.
Perfect. I've just got two quick shout outs. One is one of our favorite characters, Britta's pizza boy, could have been husband from another timeline, makes another appearance. They almost find love once again, but once again, all hope is dashed. Damn that Blade. But listen, he doesn't have his own segment on my little list here. Now, Troy may become a messiah, but it is Starburns who dies and then rises up once again from the ashes. So shout out to Starburns. The
Dino
incredible,
Stamatopoulos.
Yeah, this incredible green screen footage he leaves behind for the memorial videos, an all-time stinger on this show. So really great stuff.
Love that.
He's great, and I love the ego that he's a writer first. He's a friend of the creator, Dan Harmon, so he doesn't. It's nice to kill him off because he doesn't need this role. Like he's on the payroll regardless. So I think it is very funny that they're able to kill him in like a meth explosion, and it's just he's just great. And I love that they tease that he might still be alive.
Yeah. With a new haircut, but still Starburns.
Yeah, he's faked his own death, but he's still got the Starburns. Unbelievable touch.
And the moment where Britta like puts the Starburns on her face to like do a therapeutic exercise, and Jeff just looks at her and goes, "I thought you were smarter than me when we first met." It's so devastating.
It's a really good meta commentary though on what has happened to that character over the course of the writing of this show.
Yeah,
I think she was certainly supposed to be when we first met her. She was like a formidable female foil to Jeff. Before we move on to the other, like the regular ensemble, one last guest star. Can't not shout out French Stewart. Showing up just being so French Stewart. And I think they even make a joke like they think he's an impressionist, but it just actually is French Stewart. This turn for him as like a potentially skeezy guy who will get your legs broken, like really worked for me.
Oh yeah.
And the lack of ego to be able to say like, oh yeah, the cash cow of looking like French Stewart, like dried up. Who'd have thought? Like that's so funny for the actual French Stewart to say.
Really truly humble and therefore so funny.
All right, perfect stuff, guys. All right, let's move on to a character who we actually didn't spend a ton of time with in the back half of season 3, but when we spent time with him, we really spent the time with him, and that is Chang. How do we feel about the first Chang dynasty and this school takeover? What are our favorite Chang moments or takeaways?
Yeah,
absolutely unhinged.
More than he's ever been. I don't know where this, when he went so mad with power, because there was like very self-preservationist before, and it seemed almost that the security role was like a potentially good thing for him, but very quickly you saw the power starting to work on his psyche. It still felt like a huge escalation by the time we get to this point where he's got a child army supporting him this season.
An oddly willing child army too. Like they have no business being on the campus.
Who are their parents? What's their curfew? How does this work?
It's a college credit.
Yeah,
That's true. They're all in their way. They're all young go-getters.
I mean,
trying to get ahead on college.
Yeah, typically that would happen more with high school students than these middle schoolers. To be fair, I will say, I think I've said from the beginning, the Chang stuff doesn't always work for me as well as the rest of what's happening on this show. But I have a hands down favorite Chang moment. When he strong arms the dean into signing his request for the emergency powers, the dean says, "Promise me you'll use restraint." And he says, "Yeah, every type we've got." was such a
Such a good
brilliant
joke.
piece of wordplay and such a great way to terrify us about what this man might be capable of.
Right.
And it's funny you say that like the Chang stuff doesn't always work because he is far and away the most cartoony character, the
Sure.
most detached from reality. Season 1, he started as a grounded character. He's got a wife. He's kind of just like a professor who knows he's too good for this place, but also might not be. Like, he was a human being. And we won't get to this until we're in season 5, but like even the actor sort of had to have like a moment of like, you need to reground this character.
Mhm.
And I think this is like some of the peak we're going to get of like Chang just fully off the rails.
Yeah, I do like his self-styled military uniform. He really got creative with the makeshift badges and ropes and various adornments. He really got into it.
Yeah.
I'm shocked every time in the finale when the magician comes and he asks for a volunteer and Chang stands up, looks at everyone in the room and says, "I'll kill anyone who raises their hand." Like, God damn. His power is far too vast.
Yeah, far too fast. Absolutely right.
All right. Any other Chang thoughts?
I'm not sure if this counts as a Chang joke, but it is a joke involving Chang that gets me every time, where he's basically like, him and Jeff are like doing the dance in a circle because they're about to fight, and Chang just goes, "It ends as it began," and Jeff just goes, "It didn't begin this way."
Begin this way. Yeah, so good. I did love his turn as Pierce's brief best friend at the carnival. They were very adorable together when he storms off hurt for no reason at the end.
Yeah.
Just he's excellent at committing to the madness.
Yeah, you hope almost like, could two negatives make a positive?
Yeah, it seems like it's going to work there for a minute. It really, really does. And then this isn't exactly a Chang moment, but it's Chang adjacent. When they go to his office to steal the codes, in the filing cabinet has 3 files in it. A file of more file folders, the file of passwords, and a file of various Chang puns.
Yeah,
I think it's miscellaneous Chang puns.
Chang puns -miscellaneous.
The Chang puns, which never, ever make sense a single time.
I think they're always very good. I think that they are so bad they're good. If you can stick his name into a word, it works for me.
Yeah.
So it won't surprise either of you to know that when I make these notes, I have like a whole like table with like a spot for each character in each episode.
Nice.
But like, especially in the last 2 batches, often my longest note section is about our beloved Dean. So let's talk about our favorite Dean Pelton moments. Tyler, do you want to kick us off here?
Oh man, there's so many. I love that by this point, I think the episode where he's directing the commercial is when they just kick Jim Rash to like a full-on cast member, and we get more of that this season. He's just so funny. The way he's like unapologetically turned on by like Jeff and the study group, and when the biology teacher is giving the speech, the way he's always just like clutching his pearls, and when he finally storms out of the room, the dean just audibly goes, "Awesome." When Jeff is wearing the aviators and it hits him like it physically has an impact on him. I think that's just Jim Rash being so funny. I've had the "Come On, I'm Dean" song stuck in my head for over a decade. It's so funny. Yeah, and then but the last like just sort of moment I'll call out to is how funny it is that when in the finale, when the black light hits, there's so much going on. There's so much important stuff going on, but the dean is just compelled to like rave with joy.
Still doing it. Yeah, he's still doing it.
You should
It's
come
just
here
by
during the
himself.
day.
Just vibing. It's so funny.
You can meet my friends. The study group. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so talented.
Tremendous. Really tremendous. I love the way this batch of episodes explored his relationship to the group in a really powerful way, right? Like, they realize how much he loves them. He never would have expelled them. They remember all these moments where he's had their backs, he's been there for them, and they choose to be there for him. And it really takes their bond from something that, I don't know, like kind of like Jeff to the group in a certain way, where Jeff like always wanted to keep them at arm's length. The group has kept the dean at arm's length. Like, he shows up at Abed and Troy's apartment and everybody keeps going, why are you here, Dean? He pretends to be hurt, but he knows it's weird.
I mean, it's the moment that this segment takes its name from. I need help reacting to something.
Yeah.
Dean shows up at the
Yes.
door.
I wrote that down. Exactly right. But by the end of this season, I think that our group has fully embraced that the Dean loves them and they love the Dean. And
Yeah.
they wouldn't have it any other way. Tyler, I'm glad you called out the aviators. That was the first note I took for this batch of episodes. It's a full body spasm. Like he clearly climaxes standing there against the ground, and like he's rigid from head to toe, and he can barely exhale. She'll be coming around the Mount Dean when she comes. Choo choo. I've recently gotten to trains. So good.
Well, like the aviators are one thing, but when he gets to look at Ricky Nightshade,
oh
and
yeah,
he puts a hand on the Dean's chest, he fully collapses to the floor and loses consciousness. I mean,
yeah.
Ricky Nightshade and Goth Britta, some of the best work this costuming crew has ever done.
I agree. Like Juggalette Britta with her like Kirk Clown makeup was excellent.
I also want to, speaking of the costume department, speaking of the makeup, one of my other favorite Dean moments from this batch, I almost forgot, is when he's got the full man-woman
Duality.
Duality, yes. And not only does he look awesome and plays the physicality of that so well, but he also has that sort of that moment of shame where he has to return to get his cane, and he finally just has to tell the group, I think I went too far with this one. I have to go to the bank later. What am I going to tell them? I had good news and bad news. He just steps outside of himself for that brief moment. And I think it's so fun when these wacky characters have a moment where they just are a human and look at what they're doing.
Yes. But then he comes back. He's like, guys, it went great. They loved my costume. They had lots of questions. We went out to eat after. I had one of the deepest conversations of my life.
Good.
Love that journey for him.
Oh, it's amazing.
And obviously the costumes, the songs, the puns are the heart of the Dean. But I do still just love the good old fashioned, he has no idea how to be a Dean moments. During Shirley's presentation, he's trying so hard not to sound dumb. And he's like, how fiscal will the quarterly earnings be?
Hey, I just wanted to sound like I'm as good at business as you are. You learned all that here?
I forgot that. You learned all that here?
Yeah.
So good.
That's amazing.
Jim Rash, man.
Yeah, he's really very important to the show.
I'm so glad we have more time to cherish him moving forward. Yeah. Well, the saga with Pierce continues. There are some human moments in here, and then also some moments where he descends to the worst of what he could possibly bring to this show. How are we feeling about Pierce in this run?
I really liked in the courtroom scene when he stands up to do the right thing, and he's actually trying to do it. He gets it. He gets the message. He's like, I withdraw my case, right? It's kind of a moot point at that moment, but he withdraws his case. He's doing the right thing. And then the shitty lawyer uses gay as a derogatory term. Yep. And Pierce very quickly and very accurately admonishes that behavior and then gives himself good person points. He was almost all the way there. And it was a nice little moment for Pierce. I thought that he was like, hey, it's getting through. It's a little bit getting through and good for him. I don't know how I feel about the show. Very obviously, I think Annie even says sundowning at one point about Pierce's memory lapses, his little mental slip-ups. There's several instances throughout this batch of episodes where he'll say something nonsensical and somebody goes, uh-oh.
Yeah.
They know, oh, that wasn't, no, it's not good. Alzheimer's is a wicked bummer. A real life wicked bummer. So I'm not super sure how I feel about the lightness with which it's playing, because it does feel like they're very legitimately moving Pierce towards Alzheimer's. Is that how he leaves this show?
I'm not sure I'm getting Alzheimer's as much as just general senility.
Right.
She says sundowning.
Is that a Alzheimer's specific term?
I think it is.
Oh,
Am I wrong?
I thought that was like again, like a term about senility, like a sundowning as in like they're on their way out kind of thing.
He will not leave the show via Alzheimer's. You will not have to face
I don't think Alzheimer's
in a serious way.
Comes up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's also worth pointing out that this is sort of the peak of friction between Chevy Chase and the creator Dan Harmon behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kris, are you aware of what happens at the end of season 3 behind the scenes?
No.
Is it? Should we say it now?
You can do a little.
Should he know
preview.
going into season 4?
Well, yeah, we're about to do our whole history episode next, so we're going to get into it next.
That's
time.
true. We'll get into it then.
Yeah,
but
we'll save that tidbit.
But it's at the height of his friction with the cast, the creator, and everyone. And it is. He even mentions it at one point when they're talking about flashbacks, and it's like, "Did you notice anything about those flashbacks?" And Pierce goes, "I was barely in them."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can tell as where. I think of all the study group, when I was saying that they make the cast sort of like Springfield, they do a good job of making sure our core people are still at the forefront. I think with the exception of Pierce, who's sort of becoming more like a peripheral Greendale character around now.
He's the least connected to anyone else in the group. Like he even says that in this batch of episodes, right? He's like finally decided to look outside of the group for his best friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he turns to Chang, because he can see there's little pairings within the group. And he's, the least connected. They draw him and Shirley together in this batch of episodes through their shared business venture. And there's one other episode where they're kind of side by side as well. And it's not related to their business venture, but I don't have it in my notes.
Yeah.
But they try to build a bridge with he and Shirley. But he's certainly the most isolated of the core group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been talking the whole time that like there seems to be this pressure for them to let Chevy Chase do what Chevy Chase wants to do. And then you get like the worst case scenario versions of that. Like I really wish I could erase the whole Swami situation. It's really bad.
Yeah, he was in brown face, right?
Yeah. I wanted to
that,
believe I wasn't seeing it, but he absolutely was. Yeah,
he was, and that one is so much worse than Chang. I think in full blackface, because like Chang was doing an elf. He had his face painted black, and it looks like blackface, but he was supposed to be like a fictional elf. Chang was being a racial stereotype.
And like the other thing about
Pierce, you mean?
Pierce,
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I know it's like a little bit of like a generational thing because, you know, Chevy Chase was coming up in a time where you had people like Johnny Carson, like selling that kind of character. But like, even if they hadn't gone the route of brownface, it still would have been really bad. Even without that. But putting that aside, I will say, I think the best moment of letting Chevy Chase do what Chevy Chase can do well is one of my favorite things he does on his entire run in the show is just the stinger with the soft serve ice cream machine that won't stop dispensing ice cream.
You said it. Yes.
Perfect physical comedy, just going to cone after cone. It's like weirdly the best person Pierce has ever been, like trying not to just like be wasteful, but he does eventually walk away. But that's such perfect use of Chevy in that moment.
Really good.
I love that
comedy.
He takes one more empty cone and like stands it up to buy himself time before it becomes more of a mess as he runs away. Yeah. It's so funny. We can say it's senility. We can say all these things. I could see that 100% happening to me and me reacting the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Just run.
I did notice though, he simply just doesn't turn it off. Nothing went wrong with the machine. There's a lever which he turns to start putting ice cream, and he just never turns it back. He's just
that's so funny. I thought it broke.
No, he just doesn't know how to use the machine. I do think in general they kind of wrote him a little less villainous in this batch. Like he's never in this batch of episodes going out of his way to do something cruel or unkind or to. In fact, there are some moments where he's given the opportunity to do the right thing, and he just does unbegrudgingly, which is unlike the character we've had, I think, in seasons past, like in digital estate planning. There's no hemming and hawing about giving up his inheritance to his half-brother that he's now found out about. He gives up his full inheritance to his half-brother unbegrudgingly in the end. Real growth for Pierce.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a theme, I think, in this batch of episodes of all of our characters. not so much learning anymore, but walking the walk of what they've learned in the past. And I think that's really well done.
I like the way you said that.
Yeah. Tyler McCarthy can turn a phrase, man. I'm just blown away by some of the analogies that you come up with. It's always such a
guys,
joy
I'm
talking
flattered.
to you.
Aw.
But like, listen, let's move on to Shirley. I think we have shouted her out quite a bit. Like we've talked about some of the moments where she gets to show that range. We get to see her, like just going off with pillows, going off in the video game. She's got her business venture, trying to build some bridges with Pierce. But what else do you have to say about Shirley in those situations? Or do you have some other favorite Shirley moments you simply want to shout out? Kris, how about for you?
I'll just start with I love her standing on business with her husband when it's time to get remarried, and that's certainly what she wants. And she is this. I think we meet Shirley in a time where she's like lamenting the breakdown of her traditional gender role as this like American Christian woman, a wife and a mother. And we know she loves to bake, and she's only at community college because her life has been turned upside down. Right now, she's found herself like in need of new opportunities, new ways of living.
Yeah.
But now she has like grown into all of that. This need has brought about something else in her, awakened something else in her. She has new desires for herself in this life. And she is so willing to stand on business when he challenges that in a completely ridiculous, who do you think you are? Don't talk to Shirley that way type of approach, I think, at their second wedding rehearsal.
My note, Kris, was Andre going 0 to douche sucks.
Really did suck. Yes. And he sees it, and he comes around very, very quickly. We don't have to live through multiple episodes of this. He doesn't storm out. He sees it. He comes through it pretty quickly, but it's only because she was willing to stand on her business there and let him say like, oh, it's not going to be that easy. I can't just announce that I need you to go back to the kitchen and you will.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I definitely want you more than I want anything else. So like, whatever you need, babe. Good answer, Andre. Real good answer.
Yeah.
Good growth. And you can see this happens in a lot of stories where someone's cheated or something like that. And it's like, they want everything back to normal. And like the hardest part for the cheater is like, no, that's one of the things you sacrificed to do what you did. And it's him realizing that in that moment with the help of all people, Shirley's like new family, the study group.
And he asked her like, he asks if she can be patient even with his business. And she's like, she's now ready to be honest. Like, no, man, you've been trying. It's been 10 years and iPod's not going anywhere. And he's like, okay, yeah, I hear that too. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
Yep.
A man who's willing to hear his spouse is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Said like 3 men who are, I'm sure our wives are somewhere being like, no shit, huh? But I also want to shout out for Shirley.
I will say you guys are both great wife guys as far as I can tell. So.
Aw, thank you. But I want to shout out Shirley's monologue in the Pillows and Blankets episode where she's talking about the initial melee and being like, you hit someone, they go down, they stay down. We call that courtesy. But what happens if they get back up? Maybe you hit them a little harder. We call that common sense. Like chilled me to the bone. She's so good in that monologue.
Yeah, or you can hit them so hard they learn to stay down.
Yes.
Common sense.
Ooh. Absolutely.
When Yvette Nicole Brown is really at her best when she just flips that switch and she's just a scary lady. When she reminds you she is not one to be messed with.
I absolutely agree with that. Although at the same time, I do love Jeff finally calling out the lilting syllables. Is this about you or about my test? Biology.
Yes.
Might be her most absurd one yet.
Yeah.
And but she actually does try to break yes into like 4 syllables, but can't quite pull it off.
He challenges her to find a way to break yes into multiple syllables.
So great.
And I love her. Good for her getting her business in the end. What to your point, like if this was really a finale for the series, that felt like a wonderful little note to be celebrating in those last moments of the season finale this season.
Yeah, it was such a completion for her character. She came to Greendale episode 1 wanting to open Shirley's sandwiches, and she does finally.
Yeah.
And the fact that, Jeff is going to step in to represent them. He's been positioned to maybe he's going to be having to build his own sort of law practice, and maybe this time around there's going to be some ethics behind it.
Yeah.
Would be quite a huge change for him. I don't think he can go back to being quite the same cold, calculating guy he was before.
Yep.
Another quick, like, not to return us to guest stars, but another quick shout out just for Rob Corddry.
Yeah.
His read on, like, he swam with the sharks and got eaten. And then, like, later on, that shark thing was not a metaphor. That's so funny.
I mean, he did have a hole in his hand, right?
Yep.
So that would probably not be helpful for swimming.
No.
That'd
be a tough one.
Well, on that note, this isn't where I was going to go next, but we were just on Jeff. So let's talk about Jeff Winger in this portion of the series. Tyler, what are your best Jeff moments?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, this whole time we've been talking, like, he's now kind of like a fully realized character. And in giving Jeff less to do to have to grow, they pull him back as our kind of main protagonist for the show. But in a good way. I think Joel McHale still gets his moments to shine. I think him, like, literally hulking out over his vanity when he's on the new medication is just so funny. I think Joel McHale is a really good actor who does a really great. There's no ego to him taking that sort of moderate backseat to surrendering to this ensemble. Because you have to imagine that's not necessarily how the show was probably pitched to him. But I think he recognizes what the show is, the artistry behind it, and his role in it. And I think he just had some great moments this time. And I'm trying to think him as, I forget what the Jim Nightshade, the Chris Angel equivalent, Ricky Nightshade. He does such a good job with it. I love how much he's able to command the room without doing an ounce of actual, like, magic whatsoever. He's just all vibes, throwing the cards, abs. I think he's very good in that scene. Just nothing but good things to say about Joel McHale.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And he does, right? He changes his shirt in the hallway.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't have, like, a ton of Jeff notes this time around. We talked about his beautiful moment there with Troy and Abed and the friendship hats. I thought that was really wonderful. And then, Tyler, you got to my favorite episode for him this season, and that's where he's dealing with his ego. We get to watch the ego literally explode like an apple in his eye when he's not the handsomest boy in the room, according to the very fake awards being given away at this boy's bar mitzvah. My goodness gracious.
Like, so clearly a bit for the sake of, like, this boy's bar mitzvah. Like, everyone's in on it, and Jeff is losing his mind. It's so good.
Yeah.
After working those moms so hard, he can't even win that award.
Right.
Yep.
But earlier in the episode, to your point, Tyler, his acting, like, when he first appears in this episode, he just, like, steps into the doorway, and the whole study group is like, oh. He doesn't say anything. He's not wearing anything particularly striking. He's just carrying himself with such an aura, such a vibe. And McHale really acts the shit out of that moment. He's got nothing to say, nothing to do, but to just, like, be. And, like, wow, look at the charisma pouring off of that guy. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Well,
he does. He maintains his charisma while also kind of just, like, he also maintains this reluctance to be there, but his reluctance to be there is not, I'm too good for this. Now it's more of like, oh man, to be a good person, I know, like, the mountain of shit I'm about to have to wade through when I see Troy and Abed getting into a tiff over pillow fort versus blanket fort.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, he really calibrated with the show well.
My only remaining Jeff thing is, like, I know this is not a popular opinion. I seem to be largely alone in this. But as we know, I am a Jeff and Britta shipper.
Hot take.
Listen, I feel it. I feel the chemistry. And one of my favorite bits in this section is their last second plan to get married. Because there's no sense in trying to fight it. We can't maintain our independence. At the same time, the storyline of Britta just having this natural affinity for these, traditionally feminine elements of wedding planning, and it just breaking her that she has, like, this artistry and this flair. And when they give these sort of sarcastic vows, I love every second of that. Like Jeff with, I promise to bottle up my repulsion at the sight of your hair in the drain, is is magical, and like their flaws just match so well. I really do think these two belong together. I think despite their flaws, they could pull out whatever is healthy inside of the other person. I think at their best they could pull it out.
Yeah.
There is one like Jeff moment that like I bristled at a little bit, which is when he says that Annie lured him to the biology room with a misleading text message, and Annie goes, "You are about to get screwed in the biology room," and it's like, oh, you got that text from Annie and kind of went like it's dicey.
It's dicey. It's because I was gonna say this was a batch of episodes where it feels like he's mostly cured of that, whereas Annie obviously is still. They're writing in a way that we know she's still struggling with her affection for Jeff, but it did feel like they put that on the back burner for him. I hadn't really noted that moment where he clearly responded to a booty call text.
Yeah.
And
See, that's interesting that you read it as Jeff being over it and Annie being still struggling with it. I feel like I started to notice Annie finding her power with like Jeff being attracted to her. It's interesting that we got different reads from that.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us is right or wrong.
Right, like she has that crash out because she's so eager to live vicariously through this other woman she believes has been wronged by Jeff. And then she has a little fit when she realizes it's a guy who was insulted. That was not the sort of catharsis she was looking for in this situation. And I do think once she reflects on like how unhealthy that was for her, I do think we see an improvement for the remainder of the season.
Yeah,
probably. I was thinking too, we have the moment, and I guess we're doing Annie a little bit now, but
sure.
During the wedding episode, what's the name of that one?
Yeah, I think we can shift over to Annie. Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
What is it? Urban Matrimony and Sandwich Arts.
Yeah. She's having a hard time relating to, oh no, not this one. It's when Britta's obsessed with her carny boyfriend.
What's that one? That's such a good one.
And Annie's having a hard time relating to it.
It's the origins of vampire mythology, I believe.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So she's obsessed with Blade. And Annie at first like can't figure out what it is. Like, what do you mean you just can't quit this guy? And Shirley has that knowing moment of like, because she's got it with Andre and she knows. And over the course of the episode, Annie figures that out because she identifies that in herself with Jeff.
Yeah.
But that is to your point, Randy, like earlier in this batch, she's got another 7 episodes after that to continue to grow through it.
Yeah, Kris, how'd you feel about Annie's particularly sick burn directed at Britta in that episode?
She's much snippier in this back half of this season with Troy and Abed as well. She's definitely finding her strength and like willing to drop the sweetness once in a while.
Well, like no, like she does a great job, I think, doing what Britta asked her to do. But I don't know if you remember the line I'm talking about. She tells Britta that she is the opposite of Batman.
Ooh.
It's tough.
That is that's some
hard to hear
stuff. I mean, no one would claim to be Batman, but if you're the opposite of Batman, that's like noteworthy, like badness, ineptitude, all of your worst case scenarios.
Just honorlessness.
Yeah.
You don't stand for anything. Ugly, really ugly.
But I also love Jeff trying to milk Blade's secret out of that episode and then finding out that he literally has brain damage.
Yes.
And he's still like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't experience shame, right?
Right. Yeah, he has zero shame.
Annie did a great job, I think, this season, or the writers did a great job. There's no real like giant standout moments for Annie, but she's such a constant and like large presence in the show.
Yeah. She does have that great rant when the dean's expecting her to come in and like calm the growing insurrection, but she just like she's finally had it. And the cherry on this total lack of a sundae.
I also love her being an incredibly sore winner at the like when in the courtroom trial moment when she's like dancing and the general leaves and she's like always have an exit strategy, a very like 2012 joke. But yeah, that like she's just I love her really having an ego about her.
Yeah, she's definitely, like I said, definitely finding some confidence in her and a little edge to go with it. I did like like she has one big episode opposite of Abed, right?
Yeah.
Virtual systems analysis, where they're in the dreamatorium. She steps in for Troy and has to pretend to the best of her ability. I thought she was excellent playing opposite Danny Pudi in that episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that was on my list as a possible favorite episode of this batch. There's so many good ones here. All of her powerful dramatic moments, but then just the bad British accent and playing a Doctor Who companion to the best of her ability. That tickles the Whovian inside of me every time.
Absolutely.
When she gets it right at the end.
The Inspector Spacetime runner that will continue with this show is just so great. And people forget, you guys probably don't because you're Whovians, but people forget just how much, if you were in a particular like circle of nerddom, Doctor Who took over around 2011 when Matt Smith made it popular in the US.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is that in for Annie? Anything else we want to do for Annie this batch?
Yeah, I already shouted out Annie being hot for Abed. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Let's circle back to Britta. I shouted out that I personally really love that whole fake wedding plot line. For me, this whole idea of Britta-ing something, I think what they've done to this character is what I hate when a sitcom does to a character. She's been reduced to being so inept. Like, I wish they would have pulled the brakes a little bit on her, like, jumping to the conclusion that she's a qualified therapist because she took intro to psych. Like, I do think Britta deserves a little more credit than that. Do I see her as someone who might be fascinated by that field for maybe some of the wrong reasons? Absolutely.
Yes.
That fits for me as a major for her. But yeah, that moment when evil Abed just breaks her down so instantaneously as the darkness meter rises. And, there's a little thematic payoff where she has to reckon with like some of the assumptions she's making about her future and what she still has to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Any other Britta thoughts or moments?
Go ahead, Kris.
You are right to identify that she's getting kind of like the Eric Matthews treatment over the course of this show.
Such a great comparison.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, that poor character. Yeah. To be fair, he comes back around in Girl Meets World and gets elected senator, and they treat him fairly in Girl Meets World.
Nice.
But yeah, they've definitely taken her to a point where she is so dumb sometimes that it's hard to believe that she's like there at school with them the way they sometimes write her.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be maddening, but when you just accept it as part of the silliness of the show, it's so funny. At one point, she refers to the old radio show she had, Britta Unfiltered. And Pierce is like, ha, I get it. She goes, what? The joke is completely lost in her. Just works really, really well. Like, you hate to see they don't do it in like a ditzy blonde kind of way. It doesn't seem to be how they're playing it really, but again, you could like find reason to complain where you can just laugh at it because she performs it really well and they really hit those beats. They're funny.
And to her credit, even though she's struggling, I actually kind of love her definition of an analogy. It's like a thought with another thought's hat on. I actually kind of like that.
Jeff
oddly,
did too. He was kind of like,
smart.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not wrong.
There's another moment later in the series where she talks about like the etymology of a common phrase, and it's another moment where Jeff is like, that's actually better. Like, I love that she stumbles into those, but I think you guys are right. She is played a little dumb, or I think also incompetent, and she plays it really well. The jokes that come out of that are hysterical.
Yeah.
But it also makes it so that it's hard to utilize her. Like in the Law and Order episode, she does not have much to do because what role does someone that incompetent have in a Law and Order like parody? They make her the sort of computer whiz, and she like makes the photo sepia tone and kind of goes like, I thought it was cool. Like, that is funny. But she doesn't necessarily get a full role in that episode, which is good, or which isn't good. But I think one of the things I always liked was in the Simpsons writers' room, they always said there has to be a cap on how dumb Homer can get. And the cap was always like, he can't get so dumb that he forgets his own name. Like that's the line. And I feel like they never drew that kind of line with Britta and just had fun giving her these moments of like, again, not dumb blonde ditziness. I would say just like ego-driven incompetence. It's there's something to it. But yeah, I think the actress Gillian Jacobs or Anderson. God, I can never remember. One is Scully, one is Britta.
Right.
But
I think it's Jacobs.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah. All of our listeners just like whipped their phones against the wall.
Sorry to our friend.
Didn't you get the X-Files and Dream Streamers?
Yes, I think we did.
Yes. Sorry to our friend Sandra, the world's foremost Data Scully impersonator.
Yes.
Right.
I'm sure you could do a great Britta if you tried. You're that talented.
Nice.
But so I also want to kick it to you guys because it's impossible to talk about this batch of episodes without talking about the budding romance between Britta and Troy. I'll go ahead and say I never fully shipped this. I think Troy having Britta's number so much that he's able to just instantly dismantle the bomb that is her in the Blade episode. Yeah. It's a great moment for Troy, but it's sort of a diminishing moment for Britta. And I think the more they kick her down the road of like getting romantically involved with Troy, the more that the worse it is for her as a character.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, it's not to take anything away from Troy, but to your point, they've definitely the power is shifting, the power dynamic. Because initially he was like this little boy, and she was this like woman, right? And like any like sense that he might be attracted to her was like a real reach, because she was this experienced older woman. And now, like he very much had her number in that episode. He can manipulate the reaction that. Like so easily. He's almost annoyed at how easily it comes to him and how well he knows her. And she's like straight up pining for him by the end. Desperate for that hug. May I cut in? And he goes for Abed. Brilliant.
So funny.
It is a perfect moment. I mean,
it's perfect. Yeah.
In a way, you're kind of making me realize too, it also diminishes Troy's journey of like coming to manhood, because when we first meet Britta, for someone like Troy to be able to date her, that's some pro ball stuff. That's some Jeff Winger level stuff. And even he kind of fails at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my only other Britta thought is like the intelligences that she has are not the ones that she seems to want to have, right? Like I talked about flower arrangements, turning the study room into a legitimately beautiful altar and wedding location is wonderful. But it's also like in that Origins of Vampire Mythology episode, like, yes, Annie does protect herself. She does recognize that Britta might be lying to her, but the ease with which she can kind of paint that fake vision of sisterhood between them, like we are going to connect as these two adult women who mean everything to one another. Even though Annie's smart enough to not be taken in, she does seem to genuinely want to believe it's going to be true.
Oh yeah, genuinely hurt when it's not.
And it's that, that kind of just emotional cruelty. I think Britta hates that about herself, that kind of thing can come easily to her. That's, stuff that's probably been levied at her time and time again. It's probably a survival technique that she's learned. And I love her for wanting to be someone different than that. Maybe that's why I'm always shipping Britta. And even if people don't agree with my Britta and Jeff ship, you've got to agree it's much spicier than Britta and Troy.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. We are moving on. Let's move on to Abed. We end with evil Abed having to be defeated in this pivotal moment in the episode. But how do we get there, Tyler?
Oh man, I mean, Abed, so reliable as always. I can't think of, there weren't many episodes that really relied on Abed. Well, that's not true. There was obviously virtual system analysis. So we do get a lot of Abed, like dissecting the mind of Abed, getting into his head. But he's also, it's almost like they have to overcorrect with Abed, because they have not necessarily indulged him, but allowed him to flourish as who he is. And I think in this, there was a lot of like regrounding him, walking that back to like, not like Abed, you have to be normal or trying to control him or anything like that, but also being like, okay, well, if we give you no restraints, bad things will happen.
Yeah.
So the idea of Abed being anything other than this adorable little scamp that you want in this big bad world of ours, I like again, it's like a nerve that they're not afraid to flick. You can't let someone like Abed just be themselves 24/7. And I think we get so much of an exploration of that in these episodes. But if we're going for just like incredible Abed moments, I did already talk about it. Just the way they utilize him as a gamer in that episode is so great. And I like him in the Law and Order episode when he gets to be the bad cop, or when he's the good cop. He's just playing the Law and Order role so well.
I'm a good cop.
Just straight up says it.
Yeah, I'm a good cop.
And then Troy being like, he's been a little unhinged ever since we switched. That's it. Just so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked before about the ways in which Abed is sort of very complete and content and doesn't really have a lot of like growing to do. But I was really appreciated by the ways in which the show was able to take a closer look at him in this batch of episodes, especially through virtual systems analysis. He has to kind of like wrestle with learning empathy. Like he gets challenged to actually run his simulations through a filter of people's wants and needs. And I think he experiences genuine growth through that. But in the midst of it, we first have to wrestle with him being in a virtual locker, a place that people put you when eventually they're just like sick of putting up with you. And I think to your point, Tyler, this is like very much a regrounding of this character and like a more honest ask. What does it look like to be friends with this person and spend a ton of time together? What does it look like for that person? It was challenging for me as an audience member, I think, and for him as an actor to play through this and still maintain that level of fun that he always has, but still wrestle with this very, very real thing.
Well, you're right, because like we got that first window into this pain way back in season 1 when we met Abed's father. He creates that documentary and shows us how disconnected he's felt from everything. And it's given us this free pass to enjoy him finding this family and this love and this appreciation. But yeah, like we've been saying this all night, like there are limits to that behavior. At some point, it's going to lead to tension. At some point, it's going to cause problems. You know, I think this was technically in the last batch of episodes, but like, you know, when they invite Annie to live with them, and they can't see that she deserves her own bedroom.
Yeah.
Right.
Is like, you know, Troy's in on that too. But you know, that's really deeply inconsiderate.
Yeah.
And it's one of the earlier signs of where we're going to go. And, you know, they get through that and no one's like physically hurt, but it's an early warning sign.
Yeah, when Troy and Abed are trying to hurt each other's feelings during Pillows and Blankets, when it takes that turn because Troy intercepts an email where Abed exposed things that he knows about Troy's vulnerabilities and his emotions. And then Troy, in trying to be hurtful, says things like, you know, you'll never have another friend because no one will ever be as infinitely patient with you as I am. It's very real.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very raw, real thing to say in this show.
And that moment sort of morphs into one of the other like emotional gut punches of this batch of episodes where Abed says you weren't supposed to read that, and Troy says you weren't supposed to think those things.
Yeah, you
like
think those things.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, Randy. I do think there was a theme in the first batch of season 3 episodes of Troy becoming a better person because he's giving into his friendship with Abed. And I think there was sort of that reverse where it's like Troy now has to be the one to have an influence on Abed, and like them as people get to meet in the middle and be functioning human beings.
I love that. Well, magnitude, evacuate Fort Abed and prepare for self-destruct, because we are going to move on to our last segment here on Troy Barnes, who's really the hero of our finale. Tyler, I've got to go to you first because you've been tracking Troy's journey towards manhood since we started this podcast. So I
Yep.
always love to hear from you first when we're talking Troy Barnes and his journey.
Absolutely. This was so good. I think Donald Glover does such a good job of playing him as like boyish, but also growing up. There's no better example of that than in the Law and Order episode. The fact that he's got a Spider-Man tie along with his like normal detective attire. It's perfect and brilliant. It's so funny. But what I thought was really cool was Troy is the one who rescues the dean and like saves that whole caper in the penultimate episode by agreeing to join the air conditioner repair school. And then he goes off on his own solo journey and he like handles his business. He handles his business with that. He catches a murderer, for Christ's sake, and then gets to have that triumphant moment where he's just back and he's leaning against the wall and he's like, yeah, I got out. I figured out how to do it. I'm here now. He's just such a player on the board in that moment that I think it was like such a good moment of growth, so fully realized. And yeah, and just like always, he's just got these amazing jokes all throughout. One of my favorites being when they're all grappling with Starburn's death. And Jeff is just like, by the time I'm done with this sentence, 2 more people will have died. And Troy just screams, why would you stop talking? Hilarious.
I've got to call my pen pal.
Yes, calls his pen pal and he's like, are you okay? Okay, good. I have to hang up. This is $7. Hilarious. So it's just wall-to-wall, more reliable goodness from Donald Glover and more them really respecting the Troy character in his journey.
I was going to be the first person in my family to graduate from community college.
Yeah.
Everyone else graduated from normal college. Now they're all really going to give me a hard time.
That's right.
And the way he just like dresses down the air conditioner repair school, like he's just so not into it when they're like, bring him to the thing of eternal cooling. And he's like, no. Call the police. He killed someone.
He killed someone. He should go to jail.
When he's talking about the prophecy and how I thought I would be the one true repairman. And he's like, it's a trade school about boxes that make rooms cold.
A 2-year trade school. So we get numbers for that branch of the school, but not the whole experience.
2-year degree. Yeah, I do agree with you, Tyler. He is masterful when he's actually in the trade school, though. When he locks in, he sees what's going on, he solves the mystery, he puts his life on the line, theoretically, in a death match to repair an AC unit. Then he shows mercy. He's so powerful that he can show mercy. What's stronger than that? Really, really great season for Troy and progressive. Like I said, it was really interested in serializing growth over the course of this batch of episodes, and to watch him first struggling with, if he's going to be left behind by Abed, and then kind of growing to the point where like, no, he actually might be okay stepping away on his own because that's what the group needs from him. He can be that guy. He might have to be on his own. Very impressive for our young lad.
Perfectly said.
Absolutely. Randy, what were your thoughts on Troy?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just echo everything that you guys have to say. That last episode, despite how absurd it is on its face, it's hard to call it anything other than epic. I think Kris shouted it out the best in the sun chamber. The way he doesn't even open up the casing of the AC unit, he doesn't go straight to his tools. It's just the stare down, this casual repair. You get this sense of this acceptance of like, you know what, maybe I do have an affinity for this. And I mean, to be able to repair and fix things, like that is a useful skill. For him to embrace that as something he might want to do, but he finds a way to do it on his own terms. There's no reason I need to be in the AC dorms. This is absurd. Yeah. Like I can study AC repair. I can continue attending classes with all of you. And this could be a part of my future, but that doesn't have to be the whole thing. To see him be so comfortable in that ownership, and then just all culminating in what Kris mentioned earlier with the hug. Can I cut in?
So good.
We get that emotional payoff to go alongside that personal growth. But yeah, I think my only other thought is a Troy thought, but I'm going to save it for the final segment. Tyler, do you want to bring us into it?
Absolutely. The final segment. I'm so excited. This is always my favorite segment because it is just a catch-all for some of the things, and that is pop pop. What popped for you in this episode? Just sort of rapid fire. What were some jokes we didn't get to talk about, some moments we didn't get to talk about that just absolutely need to be mentioned? I can start because I think this batch has maybe one of my favorite jokes from the entire series.
Nice.
It's not the smartest joke. It's not like the most well crafted, but it truly gets me every single time. And that is when the guy in the air conditioning repair school is adorned in like garb of things, and he's screaming like the guy from like Thunderdome.
Yeah, full
He's
Mad
like, the
Max.
only rule, there are no rules. And then there's that one guy comes and snatches the mic and is like, damn it, Larry. Are you on coke? Sorry, everyone. Of course there are rules. Like that's so funny to me. It makes me laugh every time, whether I remember it's coming, whether I don't. It's so good. I love that.
As someone who's never worked in a costume department, but who has unboxed a window AC unit, like you can tell they just like went through the packaging from like an AC unit and started like taping stuff to him.
And the way that guy sort of pouts as he walks out of frame is so funny too. Like he plays it so well, just hanging his head in shame. Damn it, are you on coke?
That was like such a moment. I had to like look up who that actor was who stepped in. Like, why was it such a moment? It's just funny.
Is just a straight across the plate, hilarious joke.
Yeah. There are no small parts.
Yes. What are some of the moments that really popped for you guys?
I want to go back and just celebrate Subway.
Yeah.
That performer was really fantastic. The romance that crops up between him and Britta was a ton of fun for the course of that episode. I love that the group is like trying to. What is Pierce says something absurd about her whoring or horribility or I forget how he phrased it. He turns it into a unique verb, and it should be awful, but like it's delivered perfectly, and like. And she just takes it in stride because she is so good at this, but she's also falling head over heels for this, like the best man she's ever encountered.
Yeah.
I love that they've written this perfect partner for Britta. Subway was absurd.
Oh, yeah. No,
and how they replace him and try to they try to make this new guy like have the other guy's memories, like the non-consensual things we were doing. Like,
I lived in New York.
So funny. That actor, I forget his name, but he was on Scrubs for a while too. He's just like reliably a hilarious actor who should probably work more.
Absolutely. I'm going to shout out another. I love the stingers, as all Community fans do. But one of my all-time favorite stingers is just Troy and Abed walk into the study room. There's a baby there, and they instantly fall into being like two dads for this baby, and just they fall right into the bit. And Troy's just like, "Oh, I see. Well, you're off climbing the ladder at Beans and more. I'll just stay home and raise him alone." Then he gets emotional, and he's like, "No, he needs to learn that a strong man can cry," which is very media.lit coded, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely.
And may I say that particular brand of media.lit is my favorite part about working with you guys, and just being friends with you. But I also love too that in that moment they just once the mom comes back and like takes the baby away and gives them a look, they just snap right back into talking about Inspector Spacetime, like just like nothing happened.
Nobody takes it in stride like Troy and Abed.
Speaking of the stingers too, it's worth going through and watching the outtakes for season 3, because the one where they're in their bunk beds and the dean comes and like brings them milk and sings a song, that's Jim Rash like improvising that song, and there's a lot of funny like outtakes for that.
I bet you it's
so charming.
I bet you that's so good. Yeah, sticking with the stingers, I love when they catch Annie trying to be a part of Troy and Abed and Annie in the morning.
What are all these cameras here for?
What are all these cameras here for? She got like a couple of teddy bears in the chairs next to her.
So funny.
Yeah, really good.
Troy and Abed in the morning after dark.
Yeah. After dark.
Another great burn from Annie there too. First time, long time.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Will you shut up and go to sleep?
Another kind of strong moment for her too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she was trained on the streets, right? She used to live above Dildopolis, so she learned how to throw down when they were making too much noise at night.
The dean says something about Something about sitting on something. Willing to sit on something big.
Oh yeah, I'll sit. No one can sit on anything this big. I'll sit on it.
Yeah.
He also, when he comes to pitch them the Guinness World Record for largest blanket fort, he does it by saying, "I was just Googling world record lengths of stuff."
Right.
Okay, this one just came to me, but I guess this is what the pop section is for. This is going to be a twofer. Shout out to inanimate objects. The Jeff doll that the dean has constructed while being
Yes.
held captive from like just random boxes and bits and bobs he's found around his prison cell. And also, this is just going back to Abed hiring the celebrity impersonators. And he seems to have hired the Tom Hanks impersonator so that he, Abed, can play Wilson the volleyball. And that really touched me in a special place in my heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And like I kind of want to see it. That would be very cute. Abed just doing the dialogue of Wilson. I'll see you and raise you another two back to backs. One thing I noticed this watch was in the Pillow Fort episode, or the one leading up to it rather, where they start building the blanket fort. They're sitting in the dean's office and Jeff is there sitting on the couch, and the couch doesn't have pillow cushions, which I didn't notice before and is very funny.
Wow.
Because Troy and Abed have gone around and confiscated all of them for construction. That's so good. It's just like Starburns with the multiple backpacks, just a quick visual touch that means everything. And then I also, speaking of Starburns, want to shout out in that moment when he runs away, he finds like a girl on campus and tries to do the like kiss me thing so that like they'll be kissing and they won't notice. And the girl's like, no. And he's like, I'll explain later. No, I'll explain later. The explanation isn't the issue. That was so funny.
Oh, Starburns. What's the
It
name
also
of,
like wouldn't work. He's just trying to kiss the girl.
Yeah.
what's the name of his book at the end?
Oh, I can't remember, but that's another good joke.
The science of faking your death.
Yeah, I thought it. Yeah, it was something like that. I was like trying to think if they like made the name a little cuter or something, but yeah. The Starburns. So happy he made it. So glad that meth lab explosion didn't take him down.
Yep. Having to say in all earnesty that they're honoring a pinky promise is very funny. It's very Greendale.
Yeah. He's in a better place now. The DVD shelf.
Oh, what does Troy say? Like, does it? What does Troy ask it that the urn will do? And then when they say no, he goes, "Then I want it out of here."
That's right. I don't remember what he asks.
It was like grant wishes or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I rub it, will it grant a wish?
Yes, that's what it is. If I rub it, will it grant a wish? No, then I want it out of here.
Yeah, he also asked me to burn his ashes, which I don't think he understands how burning works.
Very Starburns. Again, so many of these jokes are just from such fully realized characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I got all the Dean puns. I like at one point he says he's got to grab a costume because he has to go give some more bad news to the study group.
Oh, yeah, there is the costume change to become Blind Justice, and then he walks into a table directly into a fresh tattoo.
Yeah, right in the thigh, right where the fresh tattoo. Yeah, he's thrilled they're taking a recess so he can do a costume change.
He's asking the whole crowd, like, judging Amy or Judge Judy, and they're just two identical robes. Oh, man.
He's got, like, popcorn as he's overseeing the trial.
Right. I think that probably does it for me. Anything else you guys want to make sure you pick up before we leave it on the table?
No, I think
the only other thing I have in my notes that I didn't mention is just I find it very funny when Pierce doing the horribly offensive Swami impersonation, they clock him immediately and they like as Pierce because he's not really disguising himself, and then he immediately just goes, "They got us, Jeff," and like outs Jeff in that moment too.
We're made, Winger. Like,
yeah,
what? Thank God it's a part of the intentionally failed heist within the successful heist. Thank God.
Yeah, like if this had been the end of the series, the last interaction between Jeff and Pierce, I think, is like, he says something like, "Are we still best friends?"
Yeah.
And Jeff just walks away.
Yeah.
He gives him an arm pat. He's like, gives him a meaningful look and an arm pat. One of those like non-answers.
All right, I will rewatch. I did not give him nearly enough credit then.
He gives like the meaningful arm pat, but that's almost worse. Like not saying anything is like more straight up dickish, whereas the meaningful arm pat and the look is kind of like, I'm not saying no, I'm certainly not saying yes. And Pierce clocks that like
some meta vibes for sure.
I always like the Leonard runner, just Leonard in general. Anytime they use him with his chip review or his reaction when she says like, "Shut up, Leonard, I know about your crooked penis. There's no such thing as bad press."
That's right.
Those chip reviews would still do numbers today.
Yep.
I have no doubt.
Yep, certainly.
Shout out to Let's Chips, a major cog in the machine that is. Are you guys familiar with the Tommy Westphall universe?
Oh
No.
Someone went through and like found every connection and every crossover and all of these things and graphed like all of the shows and worlds that technically exist in the same universe as a result of crossovers or similar products and things like that. And Let's Chips are used in a lot of shows.
Okay.
And yeah, it's definitely a good rabbit hole to get down if you've got like an hour.
Oh, that's great stuff. I'll have to look into it. All right. Well, I think if we did it, then time to put the pencils down, close your textbooks. That concludes this classroom session. To the podlings at home, I hope you had as much fun as we did. This is always a blast, guys. My cheeks consistently hurt walking away from this pod. Thanks for the laughs. Thanks for the smiles. But before we go, the folks at home need to know where else they can find you in the world so they can hear more of your fantastic work. Tyler, what other pods do you have, and do you have any socials you want to plug?
Yes, absolutely. You can find me. I really only post on Blue Sky. It's hard to have an ethical social media site nowadays, and Blue Sky, for the moment, is the one I tend to be on. But what you're going to find when you follow me there is mostly just me promoting some of the podcasts I'm on, particularly the one I do with my wife, the lovely Allie Nelson. We do Not Couple Goals, which you'll find on the Pop Break feed. If you go to the Pop Break, search that wherever you get your podcasts, you're going to find monthly episodes of Not Couple Goals where we review and talk about romantic thrillers, much in the same way we're talking about Community. It's both me and my wife and sometimes some awesome guests. We still have to get Randy and Kris on. In fact, Allie was doing some work today to sort of update our list so that we can get you guys on the show. And yeah, so you can find that on the Pop Break feed. And while you're there, check out some of the other shows that these guys do. They're fantastic. You can also find, I'm currently joining the guys on Socially Distanced, their podcast, to talk about one of my other favorite shows, which is Daredevil. We're in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. It's so much fun. I'm really loving it. So please go check that out.
It's been great coverage.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, every time. And if you make it through all of that, go back to when Tyler and Allie covered Madam Web. I love to shout that out. It's one of my favorite socially distanced episodes of all time.
Absolutely.
Allie she was so furious about that movie that it was her like Michael Jordan playing with a fever like moment. She was very sick, but hated Madam Web so much that she was like, I'm doing the podcast.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, these two are a blast. They're both a hoot. You got to follow Tyler. He's a very funny guy. Randy, what about you, buddy? Where can the folks hear your voice and read your words?
Well, listen, obviously you can find me here at Media.lit, but look for me over at the Pop Break. I love that family so much. We've been dropping ads for the Pop Break, and you can find a lot of me over there. This summer, I'm going to be jumping back into my Game of Thrones coverage with some week-to-week write-ups of House of the Dragon Season 3. You can, of course, find one of my other podcasts that I also do with Kris Ingersoll and Justin Mancini in Podelay. This is a Beck Hansen appreciation podcast. We're rolling through the full discography. We got some recent exciting Beck announcements with a new tour. Kris and I are going to check that out in Boston next fall together, so I'm excited for that. We may be getting a new Beck album. It really feels like the pieces are falling into place. There's a new Beck biography coming out, so that world's getting more and more exciting. We've had a little hiatus from my guy, and I love to see him back on the map. And you should also follow some of these very special episodes I've been doing over at the Pop Break. Tyler joined us for our Dream Streamers episode, where some of our podcasting duos from the Pop Break put together their dream podcasting services. On May the 4th, we'll be dropping a Star Wars draft episode which was an epic 8-person draft of people putting together Star Wars teams from across the canon. It was very silly, very fun. I had an absolute blast making a million promotional materials during my vacation. So yeah, check all that stuff out.
Yeah, folks, Randy is excellent at everything he does, but I have to double down on these very special Pop Break episodes. He is a master of a game. He's a lover of a board game, and he's able to translate the joy you can find from a well-crafted game to a podcast in a way that most others can't. You got to check out these special episodes. They're a ton of fun.
I also
Kris.
want to shout out Randy as well, because the work he puts into these guys, he's the one, he's figuring out an outline. He's figuring out how, these drafts are not easy to do. He figures them out. He has little attention to detail. And I also want, he pays attention to little details.
The sentiment came through. You're good, man.
Yes, thank you. And I also just want to shout out, for example, the Dream Streamers draft, we were picking we had, 4 people, 5 teams? How many teams?
4 teams of 2, yeah.
4 teams of 2 picking every franchise under the sun. And within 24 hours, he had posters made for all of our streaming services. The man is a machine. So listen to his work. When he plugs something, you ought to listen.
Oh, shucks. Tyler, you're too kind to me. Kris, you're too kind to me. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, as for me, Randy mostly covered the things that I do because we do most of the things together, but I'm also the co-host of the Batman by the Numbers podcast on thepopbreak.com. It's a once-a-month podcast going deep on all things Dark Knight with my co-host Dan Cohen. This year in 2026, we're doing the eras of Batman. And so we're finding fun ways of exploring each little era, be it the Burton era, the Adam West era, most recently the Schumacher era. We like to do rankings and drafts and film explorations. We'll be doing a comic book look at the Absolute Batman series in the month of May. So look out for Batman by the Numbers once a month on thepopbreak.com. It's always guests. It's always a blast. Aside from that, you'll catch me writing for the Pop Break as well. I'm usually contributing to the playlist column once a month over there. If you want to read my words and the silly dadcore things that I like to listen to. And other than that, you can find me on Instagram or Blue Sky. I'm an actor and a voice actor, a father and a husband, and I'm at Kris_Ingersoll. That'll do us for tonight, folks. Make sure you like and follow the pod. We will see you next month.